Here we are at Strictly Medicinal Seeds in Williams, Oregon. My name is Richo Cech, and I'm in appreciation of the organizers of the East-West Herbal Conference, and would be speaking today about the herb wood betony. But first I'm going to give you a little bit of background. We're here on Tetherow Road in Williams, and in the 1980s this was a place of renaissance of herbal appreciation, and we had a number of different individuals who lived here on Tetherow Road and who were responsible for gleaning much of the herbal material that eventually became quite famous. We had Alan Kapler living up the road, and he eventually became the primary person in So Organic Seeds, which has since disappeared. And we have Ellen Kapler, or Mushroom, of Peace Seeds, who eventually became part of Deep Diversity. And we had also Gabriel Howarth, and Gabriel Howarth produced one of the first seed lists, which was part of my ability to begin to gather a diverse array of medicinal herb seeds. And Gabriel's work eventually became seminal to Seeds of Change, which turned into a really big seed company. Then I came in, so it was like 1986 or so, and I was a tree planter from the wilds of Lincoln County on the Oregon coast, and I had an extremely strong interest in production of diverse gardens of medicinal herbs, and so I began to use the seeds which they had gathered to create these giant spiral gardens of medicinal herbs. So at first it was just a trade basis. Like, I had some Nigella seeds, and I would go over to Gabriel, and Gabriel would give me some Criollaceae pepper seeds, and we still actually carry the Criollaceae peppers in our seed catalog. Then later, as we began to grow and develop, and everyone was producing these diverse seed lists, then there would be some purchasing involved. Well, I made a seed order to Al Kapler, Peace Seeds, and one of the things that I asked for was wood betony. And when the package came to me and I opened up again a diverse array of medicinal herb seeds and vegetables, the wood betony packet said, "1 seed left, this is the last I have." Now, in the 1980s, you couldn't find wood betony in any of the gardens around here. It's a medieval herb from Europe, and it had fallen into misuse. Well, that's what a renaissance really is a reawakening, right? So in order to reawaken, you need to lose something. So we had lost wood betony. I don't know, there probably was wood betony growing in a garden in Louisiana, or maybe at the National Arboretum in Washington, D.C. I don't know. But we didn't have it here. And so I was down to 1 seed. And if you know about the Lamiaceae, the mint family, of which this is one of the members, then you know that seed germination is not a sure thing. It's not like planting peas and corn. You're not going to get 100% germination. So if you're down to 1 seed, you have to be really careful with it. So I carefully scratched it on a piece of sandpaper, and I pressed it into the surface of the soil, and I kept it moist, and sure enough, wood betony did arise from that one seed. And then I began to plant it out in my gardens, harvest the seeds. You can see we're here in the fall right now, and these wood betony have gone to seed, and so if you upend the raceme and you shake it, then you get, I got just one seed, because I've already shaken these a couple of times, and I'm like that. I'll come through a few times and shake the seed heads into a bucket, but I got that one seed, which is pretty tasty. And from that one seed, an entire population of plants grew, and now we've disseminated wood betony to hundreds of thousands of gardeners all over the United States and into Europe, South America, China, Africa, and Asia. Then why is wood betony important? Well, like I say, it's a plant in the Lamiaceae, the mint family, and many of these mint family plants that have the showy purple flowers contain a substance called rosmarinic acid. And rosmarinic acid is an anxiolytic. It's something which eases your anxiety. And you'll find rosmarinic acid in rosemary, and you'll find it in my favorite plant, tulsi, also in motherwort and other members of the mint family. It's also a particularly good herb that strengthens the solar plexus. Now, the solar plexus is basically the base of the stomach. And so the anxiolytic activity of it is augmented by the fact that it strengthens the stomach. And the stomach has a lot of nerve endings in it. That's why when you get up in front of a crowd and you start to speak, you get something called butterflies in your stomach. Well, that's because the nerves that are in your stomach are in an agitated state. And so something that is anxiolytic will calm those nerve endings. They'll calm all the nerve endings throughout the body and create a general relaxation, but also works specifically, we say the herb has an affinity for the solar plexus, and therefore calms the stomach. Now, the stomach is full of nerves because the stomach does a lot of things for us. It needs to know when to digest and when to secrete. It's covered in a thick layer of endothelial tissue, which is full of secretory glands and so forth. And so when we ingest a plant that calms the stomach and strengthens the solar plexus, then all of the digestive functions work according to schedule. You get hungry when you're supposed to get hungry. You secrete when you're supposed to digest. You excrete when it's appropriate to do so, and you pass gas, which every human passes about 2 liters of gas daily. So don't tell me that you don't. Then well, let's ground it out a little bit in history. Historically, this is what's known as a woundwort. It's one of the main herbs that was used in medieval medicine. It is a member of the apothecary garden, Stachys officinalis. So Stachys refers to the fact that the raceme is a little bit like a shock of wheat, Stachys. and officinalis just means that it was used in the apothecary. It's official to herbal medicine. Then wood betony. Betony goes all the way back to the Celtic language, and it means good head, betony. So it's good for your head. Well, why is an herb that is has an affinity for the stomach good for the head? Well, in Chinese terms, what you're doing is you're centering the qi in the middle of the body, in the solar plexus, versus kind of having the qi extrude randomly through the top of the head, which causes headache. So not only do we strengthen the digestive function, but we also reduce pain, and specifically pain in the head, and even more specifically, pain in the head caused by sinusitis. So, as herbalists, we get, first of all, we love herbs, and we talk about what herbs do and so forth and so on, and then we get thrown into the general population, and what happens is somebody says, God, I have terrible pain in my head from sinusitis, what should I do? And immediately we begin to panic, because we don't really know specifically what should be done in this case. I mean, we could prescribe meadowsweet, which contains an aspirin-like molecule, but that only dampens the pain. So we look for a specific, and so wood betony would be a specific for sinus headache, and that would be a more holistic way of approaching pain relief, would be to strengthen something instead of killing pain. Now, woundwort was used in medieval medicine for a great variety of complaints, including things like battle wounds, because it has an astringent nature and an anti-infection kind of ability, and also was used for treating the plague, and as a what we could call a preventive for the plague. So what we're experiencing in the world right now with a pandemic is a plague, and although this is not caused by fleas off of a rat, still it has many of the same earmarks as the kinds of plagues that plagued us in the past. So a cup of betony tea in the morning could be a good idea these days. It certainly won't hurt you. There's nothing in the herb that can hurt you, and in fact, the tea tastes very much like black tea. And I have studied this deeply. The flowers are pretty, but the flowers, for the most part, were not used in herbal medicine. It was the leaves that were used in herbal medicine. And the flowers are inodorous. So that lets us know that there's really not a lot of essential oils in the flowers. They don't smell strong like a lot of the other mints. But the leaves are tasty. And so to make a preparation with the wood betony leaf, really you can use it fresh. It extracts very well in the fresh state. And I would recommend using it fresh, actually. And you slice it very thinly with a knife on a cutting board. And then you put the sliced herb in a cup and pour hot water, cover it, let it steep for about 4 minutes, and then strain and drink. It can also be made, the tea can also be made from the dried plant. Then for a tincture, again, the fresh leaves. And at 1 to 2, if you look in the book Making Plant Medicine, you'll see the recipes. 1 to 2 means 1 part of the fresh herb to 2 parts of the menstruum. The menstruum is the liquid part, and that would be composed of 75% strong alcohol and 25% water. So 1 to 2, 75, 25 for the fresh leaf tincture, and for the dry leaf tincture, 1 to 5, 50% alcohol and 50% water. These days, like in the election that we're having, there's one of the pushes is to decriminalize addiction, and I found that wood betony works really well in terms of treating addiction. Why this is because of the things that I've already talked about: the strengthening of the core of the body in people who have an addicted state. A lot of times their mind is really, really upset, and there is a lack of focus. So in treating the digestion, then we treat the mental issues that cause people to turn to opiates, cigarettes, or alcohol. And it seems odd to use an alcoholic preparation to treat an alcoholic person, but it can be used as a bridge. So if someone is actively alcoholic, instead of taking whiskey and bourbon and beer, they can take an extract of wood betony and slowly wean themselves off of dependence on alcohol. For someone who's a smoker and needs to have cigarettes, why do people take cigarettes? Well, for one thing, it calms my nerves. Cigarettes calm my nerves. Well, this herb is anxiolytic. It does a lot better job of calming nerves than nicotine does. A pipe in the morning assists the action of the bowels. Well, people have cigarettes in the morning so that they can poop. Well, better to take the tea of wood betony and again regulate that bowel function by calming the nerves of the stomach and the lower GI. This morning I accomplished my usual meditation, and any day that I don't meditate, I know that I haven't, because everything seems to fall apart. But I was using the words Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, which means may every being be happy. And as I recited these words, I was sitting in my greenhouse, which is where I do my early morning meditation. A frog, which was in one of the tropical plants, sitting in one of the tropical plants near me, unseen to me, began to croak in perfect cadence with this mantra. And I thought, now I know this is the right thing to do, because nature itself has begun to reflect my intention to do good on this earth. So peace to all of you, and let me say that I appreciate the conference organizers for giving us the opportunity to speak to you about things that are important to us, and I appreciate all of you for taking pause every day to consider the goodness of all beings, because in giving the gift of yourself to the goodness of all beings, then you receive back that which is good. Instant karma, better than instant coffee, not quite the same as wood betony, but close.